Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope on this Monday edition, the 18th. Time is going by pretty quick this month. It always does. NBA playoffs. Now we've got the conference final set up between the Knicks and the Cavs there. Also, Spurs will play tonight. Spurs and OKC Thunder. That's going to be an interesting matchup. See how well the Thunder play these guys in the playoffs. SGA gets his second MVP. Kudos to him. Shea Glorious Alexander. Aaron Rodgers. He is officially, as of this morning, folks, has signed with the Steelers 1 year, $25 million, up to $25 million. Also, five teams, not in prime time. You know, I'm from a school of thought that every team gets it's a Thursday night game at least. Those boring games, it looks like the NFL is getting wise with that and not putting all the bad teams on. I think it's good for the NFL. I think it's good for the teams, personally, those 5 teams that did not get in the primetime games, including the Tennessee Titans here in Nashville. Speaking of Tennessee, Nashville, according to ESPN, Adam Schefter, likely, although the owners have to vote on it tomorrow, likely will get the Super Bowl in 2030. I'll talk about that as well. So stand by, take my first and only break, and be back here momentarily and hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty, then I'm back here on this recorded edition. I said it live, but this recorded edition. All right, so the Knicks and Cavs are set here. Cavs get the road win at Detroit on Sunday night last night. A game really didn't look that close. One team can score, one team cannot. Just like I talked about with the Mad New Yorker on Thursday, this Piston team, they've got to reshape their roster and get players who can score, who also fit their defensive-minded culture, but guys that can simply score. I mean, that they are missing shots 8 to 10 feet. They're missing layups. Other than Cade Cunningham, everybody should be on the block to be moved. They got quite a few free agents coming up this summer. I said maybe they should make a run at a Giannis or somebody like that. Guys like Bobby Portis, who's bounced around the league. Get some pure shooters, 2 or 3 pure shooters there. Up the ante offensively for the Pistons. Won 60 games plus this year. They had the number 1 seed in the NBA's Eastern Conference, and they were down 3-1 against the 8th seed Orlando Magic, and then ultimately lose to this Cleveland Cavalier team where they were both higher seeds. One take is, well, the NBA regular season is watered down that much for a team who can't shoot. The team is just offensively inefficient. As a Detroit Piston team becomes the number 1 seed, it tells you is how bad the Eastern Conference is at times, and also tells you how much that these teams mail it in during the regular season, folks. That tells you that. I mean, this for those of you who may have seen the funny hit movie Along Came Polly with Ben Stiller, the Philip Seymour Hoffman character is shooting with Ben Stiller in a scene there and just hitting the backboard constantly, not even getting close to the rim. That's why I put that meme out there on social media last night. That's what it really feels like right now. I've never seen a team that finished this strong in the NBA regular season and shoot this bad in both games. And kudos to their gritty defense. But they've really got to do something about that. Got to slow down, get more flow. Looks like the coach is still there. He hasn't got fired, not yet, as have it. But possibly they definitely have to make some personnel changes there and still keep the defensive philosophy. But hey, kudos to the Cavs. Been surging for years. Did not think it was going to work out under Donovan Mitchell because he's a very ball-centric player. But they've got the right combination. The hard move looks like it's paid off there at the trade deadline move there. So we'll see how it plays out. I think the Knicks, who've been rested, have got the sweep there. This game will be played in New York. I like them to win this game, win this series in 6 games. They were 2-1 against the Cavs in the regular season. OG Anunoby is up to questionable now. He could possibly play game 1. It's coming back from his calf injury. So this has worked out perfectly for the Knicks. They got the home court. They got the team coming off the grueling 7-game series. They match up pretty well against the Cavs. The Knicks stay healthy and don't blow this opportunity and get back to your first first NBA Finals since the shortened season in 1999, which they lost to the Spurs. But either way, let's see what happens. I got the Knicks in 6 games there. Okay. Yeah, this Spurs team, I'll tell you, they have been impressive since the start of the season here, beating Minnesota, closing them out also over the weekend there. And I wanted to get the quote here, but I got a little bit of a late start this morning here. But Anthony Edwards said, yeah, we probably should be a little bit more prepared during the regular season. There was a question in regards to, do you think you should play better during the regular season, so you can get a better seed? Like I've been mentioned, they've been hauling around during the regular season. They're getting these 6 seeds, 5th seed, 6th seed, where they have to really grind out in the playoffs and they run out of gas and get eliminated. And he said, yeah. Let me see. You know what? Hold on, folks. I may actually have that here. And if I do, I'll just play the soundbite. I don't have the video clip of that. Here we go.
You're supposed to build
Hold on.
habits or playoff habits in the regular season. Yeah, great question. I think so.
Do you not feel like you have?
Do I feel like what?
That you have built the habits during the regular season?
No, we didn't build the habits during the regular season. No.
We didn't hear that. We did not build championship habits during the regular season. Who said that? That goes back to Chris Finch, the coach there. I don't know if he himself, Anthony Edwards, he's the big star on that team leader. He's still only 24 years old. Is he distracted during the regular season? There's been talk on social media and stuff about he's got a lot of kids out of wedlock. He's distracted with women, He's a star. He's worth over $100 million, 24 years old. He's a little bit distracted. A little immature, very talented, very likable. I like him. But as you can see, I pointed that out, and I'm glad that he has seen that. All right. So as far as this Spurs team, listen, first conference finals since 2017, very young team. Victor Wembanyama there. Yeah, they did hit the lottery with him, but he got to congrats their front office there, which R.C. Buford, their longtime general manager, he moved into a different role 2019, but they've got that this Brian Wright here is their general manager now, technically. They did a good job assembling good pieces around Wembanyama. They all seem to gel well. They're all fairly young, per se. Like I said, guys like De'Aaron Fox is still only 28 years old. He's considered a veteran. Him and, of course, Harrison Barnes there on this particular team. They were 3-1 against this OKC in the regular season. They look to see the matchup really well, although the Thunder, folks, which congratulations to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander winning his back-to-back MVP, one of very few to only do so in NBA history. He was not there for one of the games, okay? And the Thunder did win the last game. So if you look at it in that perspective, this could be a 2-2 matchup. This very well could be the NBA final. Although the Knicks, as I've said before, by watching the two games that they have played, the Knicks are like 3-1. I want to say also, Knicks match up pretty well also against the Spurs, okay, if they draw the Spurs. I don't know how this thing is going to play out. I'm picking as of right now, judging just by the way the games have went, it looks like Wembanyama has a big advantage against a Chet Holmgren. I think the Spurs win this in 7. Now, let's see how the Thunder, who haven't lost a single game in the playoffs, let's see how they bring it, playoff style against this young Spurs team. We don't know how that's going to play out, all right? But it's going to be fascinating to watch tonight. Two very young, athletic teams. Thunder very deep. Going to have home court advantage of what is a 2-game difference in the regular season. This is a dogfight. Cannot wait. I've already recorded. I'm going to do a little bit of work tonight with the Uber, but definitely will watch this game intensely. But the Thunder, they're favored to win game 1, like 6.5. Little surprise there, but they do have the home court. They're favored to win game 1, and they're favored to win this series. But I'm going to take the Spurs in 7, which tells you this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out game here, or series here. It's not going to be as easy for the Spurs as I thought, although they, like I said, they're 3-1 against the Thunder, okay? One of those games, yes, SGA did not play, but the other 2 he did, and they did win pretty convincingly. That being said, the Thunder did win the last one. Maybe the Thunder we make some adjustments. So it's going to see how the coaching moves play out there. But you look at everything else, experience, home court, that would favor the Thunder. But this is a game of matchups, folks. The Knicks do not match up well at all against the Thunder, but they match up really well against this Spurs team, okay? So I think we're in for a very, very good conference finals in both the East and the West, okay? All righty. In other news, to my man Ralph Williams, I don't know if you're relieved, happy, or kind of annoyed. Probably a lot of wide range of emotions for the Pittsburgh Steelers fans with the Aaron Rodgers sign over it was rumored he was going to come back and play with the Steelers over the weekend. Well, this morning he has signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1 year, $25 million, up to $25 million. And now and I screenshotted this, you have a quarterback room with Aaron Rodgers. This looks a little bit like the Cleveland Browns quarterback room last year, except for these guys have a future Hall of Famer on their team in Aaron Rodgers. But you got Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, second-year player out of Ohio State, and, of course, Drew Aller, the Penn State, once sought after to be a highly touted 5-star quarterback, but he fell in the draft, and the Steelers nabbed him on the state of 3rd or 4th round of this past year's draft. So Mike McCarthy says Drew Aller is a guy that, but he says Drew Aller is a guy we're going to unteach him everything he's ever learned. And that's what Aller said too. That's what all the reports, I don't know if specifically McCartney said that, but the reports are they're going to do everything he learned at Penn State. So he's a project guy there. I don't know if he's going to be good enough to start next year. Ideally, if you're a Steelers fan, you hope that's the case. And I made a note, you would like to see him have a really good preseason there. and catch up with Mike McCarthy's system. It looks like ownership is very reluctant to just pull the Band-Aid off and rebuild now. And said they should have probably rebuilt. Could have made the argument they should have started last year. They didn't. They brought Rodgers in. Now they're bringing Aaron Rodgers back. There's been a report over the past few days they're willing to trade, who will be 32 years old in October, T.J. Watt, the very expensive edge rusher. My thing is, if Rodgers, God forbid, I hope they're competitive and play well. Listen, the Ravens look down this year. Cincinnati, you don't know how the new defensive pieces are going to play, although they could be really good and win that division. I'll probably pick Cincinnati to win that division the more I think about it. And, of course, the Browns are just a bunch of moving parts. You don't know what's going to happen with the Browns, although they could be good. They've had some really good drafts the past 2 years, and they've got a new coach there. But it just depends on how things work out there. It could go south for the Steelers. It could go south for this Steeler team. And I made a note here. It looks like that the ownership is kind of like Mickey Loomis, the general manager of the Saints. They're just reluctant to do that, to just tear the Band-Aid off. It looks like they want to go the slow route in rebuilding and not just do that whole quick tear down. The Saints, I say that in regards to the Saints, have been like $50 to $100 million plus over the cap. I want to say ever since Drew Brees retired a few years ago. And Sean Payton's already moved on. Drew Brees has been retired. But now they've got Tyler Shock, and it seems like they're just now getting on their footing, even though they could have did this a few years sooner if they've just cut a bunch of players and rebuilt through the higher draft picks. But either way, the Steelers look to be somewhat competitive this year. It seems like with Rodgers, my opinion on that, I would have probably just said, listen, man, if you don't want to come back any sooner than what you came back, I wouldn't have just re-signed him back. I would just tore this thing up and went to rebuild this year. But they're stubborn. They're going to bring him back. That's a moot point. We'll see how this thing plays out. And maybe they do make a push there. They've added some depth to their offensive line in the first round there with their first round pick. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. So I'm sure it is a little bit of a bittersweet for the fan base there up in Steeltown, folks. All right. So it was interesting talk about over the past few days of these teams, 5 teams now. I want to say, 5 teams not getting into primetime games here in the NFL. And I cannot remember a time where this many teams didn't get primetime games. Even when the Titans were bad in the past, they would always put them on one of these Thursday night games. But now there's no primetime games. You got the Titans, you got the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Raiders, which are really surprised, Fernando Mendoza, and, of course, the Arizona Cardinals. Kudos to the NFL. I made some notes here. Did not put the big market Jets, even though they're the Jets in that New York market, did not put them into a primetime slot. I remember a few years ago when they played the Black Friday game against the Dolphins. And it was just a boring kind of game, that Netflix game played on Black Friday after Thanksgiving. And they said, you know what? Let's stop put this bad product. We talked about it briefly Thursday, myself and the Mad New Yorker, about how good this slate of Thanksgiving and Christmas games centered around Thanksgiving and Christmas are, particularly Thanksgiving Eve, Thanksgiving, of these really, really good games. Really good game. They're taking advantage of all those people being at home. Last year, it was over 50 million people watched the Chiefs and the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving. I want to say, hey, that's big money right there. That's revenue. We'll put this out for bid later on. But these teams like the Jets, the Titans. A few things to that. Kudos to the NFL. Like I said, not shoving a team led by Geno Smith down our throats with an over and under of 5.5 wins, and a Tennessee a team with the former number 1 overall pick in year 2, Cam Ward, no primetime games, and a Raiders, think about it, the Raiders with the national championship player, a Heisman Trophy winner. All these players have proved nothing in the NFL. Geno Smith was on the team last year, if you remember, the Raiders last year, because they got the number 1 pick. All right. And another point that helps the players and coaching, I think this helps the teams. Okay. It helps the coaching and the players of these particular teams develop a regimen, particularly the Raiders and the Titans. The other teams, the Dolphins, Arizona, I mean, they are just going to be bottom feeders there. But the Raiders, per se, and the Dolphins, are the Raiders and the Titans potentially have their franchise quarterbacks. All right. And they have young teams. They can develop a routine. They're going to have an advantage over other teams. They're going to be well rested. They're going to be able to develop a routine. They can take the underdog role. They can lay under the radar and get better, per se. You know, so I do like it from that standpoint for them to get better. And listen, these guys were drafted high. They haven't proven anything. Cam Ward, like I said the other day, I still do not know if Cam Ward's a bust or not. Okay, like his attitude, like his improvement, but he still could simply just be a bust. You know, there's no real proof that he's going to be a star here. Okay, I'm about 85% sold on a guy like a Cam Ward. So it's a blessing in disguise. The coaches like this, trust me, and a lot of the players like this. The more interviews I've watched over the years, the players like to play the early games. They like the routine. They don't like to wait around all day. I know it's bad for the fans somewhat because they kind of like to see your team get and your city get a lot of exposure. Here in Nashville, we don't need any more exposure. And I'll talk about them getting the Super Bowl, likely getting the Super Bowl here in the Super Bowl here in 2030. But anyways, the NFL, hey, keep it up as far as I'm concerned. Some may ask, well, the Giants, they picked 6th in the draft. Why would you put the Giants in week 1? I just talked about one of the best week 1 games out there. Why would you put the Giants in they picked 5th, right? The Tennessee picked 4th, the Giants picked 5th. Why would you put them in prime time? Listen, the Giants showed major improvement last year. They beat the champs soundly. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles soundly last year. They had Denver, who had the number 1 seed in the West, had them beat soundly at one time. They were blowing Denver out in Denver. Of course, Denver has this fierce comeback. It's a few lucky breaks and ends up winning that game. So they showed some promise, okay? The Giants have showed enough promise here and enough improvement where the NFL says, you know what, we'll put the Giants with those flashes they had last year, along with the fact that they have John Harbaugh now this year and some new improvement players. We'll put the Giants in primetime game against the Cowboys. And I think they should have, okay? They've shown, I mean, Cam Scatterboo and, of course, Jackson Dart look to be exciting. Like I said, Malik Neighbors back. They look to be a potential sleeper to get to the playoffs this year, okay? But, you know, look at teams like Arizona with Jacoby Brissett and they strip down Malik Willis. These teams are in line to get quarterbacks very high in the draft coming up in the 2027 draft. And, hey, like I said, it's really good. Now, I'll say this. There was some talks that maybe maybe a Titans and a Raiders could get flexed in at the end of the season if these teams show that they are legit. And I think Mendoza is legit. I think the Titans will improve enough where they get flexed in the towards the end of the regular season. And hey, listen, if you make the playoffs, Tennessee, Vegas, then you get in prime time then, or you will. And the farther you go in the playoffs, you do it that way. So it really works out. Not a lot of miles traveled. The body clocks are going to stay the same. That is huge for the Titans. I'll talk a little bit more about their schedule coming up Thursday with the Mad New Yorker. And speaking of Tennessee, I was really shocked this morning, and I've been telling my riders this for a while. Every time that I pick up somebody here in Nashville, we pass the new dome that the Titans are building. I say, yeah, they're going to try to get the Super Bowl here. I know the commissioner was here about 4 or 5 months ago talking to the ownership about that. And now Adam Schefter, ESPN, reporting that the Titans, the owners will vote tomorrow, Tuesday. The owners will vote tomorrow for the they will vote for the Tennessee Titans to host the Super Bowl in 2030. How about that? 35 years ago, folks, 1996, 1990, when I'm 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 years old. I never in a million years during those years thought that Tennessee would even have a professional football team, an NFL team. I was really considered moving out of Nashville at that point. Thought it was a lame town known for country music and not that much country music. Well, now they've got a variety of music here, an exploding economy here. Now, I know what property taxes have went up, and people don't like that because of the exploding economy. But the fact that they would actually have a Super Bowl here, and this suit, I thought maybe in 2035, something like that. No, that is less than 4 years from now, in February 2030. So kudos to the city here pulling this off. Now, for whatever reason, the owners voted down tomorrow. I don't think they will. But kudos to the city of Nashville and the state here pulling this off, getting that Super Bowl bid coming up in 2030. I think Nashville can definitely hold that as far as the hotels and whatnot. They did a really good job with the draft in 2019. Here in 2 weeks, we've got the CMA Fest. About 95,000 to 100,000 people will be in town for that coming up. So this is a big event, conference town. Cannot wait. And, hey, there's no telling what the show will be at that point. Maybe I'll be doing a show on Radio Row. How about that, huh? I'll be doing a show from Radio Row from my hometown Super Bowl week. That's my goal. I'm putting it out there, folks. I am putting it out there. As far as the Titans are concerned, could they be like the Rams in 2022, I want to say 2023, where the Rams played in SoFi Stadium, winning a Super Bowl in their home stadium? Possibly. Cam Ward will be in his 5th year option. If, like I said earlier, if he proves he can play, I think that would be great. So, very good moment there for the city and the state of Tennessee for getting the Super Bowl. Likely hasn't been voted on yet. Going to be voted on tomorrow, likely in 2030. So, okay, folks, if you like the show, please share the show here. I'll be back here live Thursday with the Mad New Yorker. We'll go over these playoffs, which I think, seriously, I'm not saying it just a hype. Yeah, I think these conference finals, both series, will be really good. Okay? Have a good Monday morning, everybody. And if you like the show, please share the show and also subscribe to my YouTube, Spotify, any of my channels here if you have not already.